Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We have been working on this awesome Gottlieb Abracadabra wedge head single player pinball machine for a customer. And we've kind of did all of the maintenance and the service that we can do on it, but we need to just see if we can get it to run and troubleshoot all of the problems that pop up as we work our way through it. So we did previous videos on this where we worked in the bottom of the cabinet, we worked on the playfield, and we worked in the back box. So if you didn't see those three videos, go check them out because you missed a great time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to try to start the thing, see if we like what's happening, and if we don't, we'll fix the problems as they pop up. Usually we don't do it that way, we make a list, but I thought it might be different to just kind of fix them in order, right? So I just plugged it in. It says tilt, it's tilted. We've got 3,700 points, and the playfield is dark, but I think it does that when you just plug it in. So let's see what happens here. Okay, it reset to 0. It's supposed to say ball in play 1, but it does not. All of the lights did come on. The number 2 didn't reset. Those should be on. So we've already got some stuff screwing up. I'm wondering though if that was because I've been screwing around with it. Let's see what the ball in play. Let's see what's going on with that. This little unit here is the ball in play unit. And it's supposed to step back up to the first ball like that to say ball in play 1. But I think I already had it screwed up. So let's try this. Let's step it up to like the third one or something. Let's turn the game back off. I've seen these wedge heads before where if you're in there messing with stuff and you're kind of in the middle of servicing it, they don't completely reset right because you don't have everything in a position that it would normally be in while playing a game. Okay, so what I just did was I set the ball count unit on 3, and I set all the score reels on 1. Now the 1's on 0 because that's a fake score reel. So we're going to turn it back on. Once again, it says tilt, which is what it's supposed to do if you turn it off in the middle of a game. And let's see if it resets everything this time, since we've got it a little more like how it would normally be. All right. So it reset everything to 0. You heard it go clink, and it put us on ball number 1, and it kicked the ball out. However, the number 2 is still not lit up. So I think we're just going to try to figure that out first. What lights up the number 2 lights? Surely that should be lit up at the beginning of the game. So here are the schematics for Gottlieb's Abracadabra. Now, if you need a copy of these, you can get them at the Pinball Resource, pbresource.com. It's one of our favorite pinball places. The Gottlieb trademark is still owned and used and defended. So they don't like you making copies and floating their copies of their schematics around the internet. This is the original sheet that came with the machine. And luckily, since they still use the trademark and everything, or the copyright, the Pinball Resource and a couple other companies are able to make new Gottlieb parts. So, you know, you get a new set of schematics on a big sheet like this for like $15 or something. And they use that money to help develop new parts and blah, blah, blah. So we've got a really healthy selection of Gottlieb parts, thank God. And part of the reason is because if you need a replacement schematic, you don't have yours anymore, they do charge you a fairly insignificant fee for that, for a nice quality document. So if you need them, go check them out. But I've got a copy here, and I'm going to show a little bit of it just to show kind of why you need the schematics and what you can use them for. So that 1, 2, 3, 4 light is basically on the sequence bank, and that sequence bank is supposed to reset at the beginning of the game when this S relay pulls in. The S relay is the start relay. Well, the start relay is certainly pulling in because everything else is starting, right? But if you look, there is also a motor switch here, motor 2C. If that switch isn't right, then this sequence bank will never reset. Now, these switches here, the E, the C, the O, and the G, that is used to reset it in the middle of the game, I think. Yeah, the E relay is the advanced bonus relay. So when the advanced bonus relay pulls in, if C, O, and G aren't tripped, it will also reset the sequence bank. The left target's reset and the right target's reset, but if you look, they are done by a different score motor switch. So I think our problem is either going to be that switch or that switch. So you just look in the machine and see if one of those two switches doesn't look right. Now, if the motor is turning, you know, this score motor is going to turn a lot. Every time that it needs to score something major, the score motor will return. But as long as the start relay is not pulled in, it won't do anything. Or as long as the E relay, the advanced bonus relay, isn't pulled in, it won't do anything. So that will never get reset, even though the score motor is turning and shutting that switch over and over and over again. So let's look at that switch, and let's look at the start relay. We can also look at the relay that actually does that light that's shown up here. Light number 2, right? Those are both held on by a switch on the 2B relay on that sequence. So I'm going to go look, I'm going to pop up the playfield so we can get to everything, and we'll look at the 2B relay and see if it's been reset. It may be that this switch is screwed up, which would kill both of those lights. Or it may be that this bank was never reset, and so that is still open. So we'll start there. So here is that sequence bank, and if you look, here is 2B, and it is tripped. So it did not reset, or it could be that it immediately tripped. So we'll look at the switch just to make sure. I'm just trying to make sure that that switch is not already connected. I don't believe that it is. You see how there's some movement before it hits the switch? So that switch is not shorted. If the switch was shorted, it might just reset and then immediately trip again. So just checking for that. And then also it's down here at the bottom of the playfield. You have another one. So if this switch were shorted, it would do the same thing. But if it did do that, you would probably score, you know. So that's not it. So it appears that it's not resetting it. Now another problem could be maybe this pulls in, but it doesn't latch up. It falls back down. So let's see if it will reset it if this pulls in. Yeah, so it's fine. Okay, and then another problem, sometimes these things are fused. Yeah, there's a fuse over there. See the yellow wire here? See the yellow wire here? It says bank setup, caution, replace only with 1/2 amp slow blow fuse. Fuse ain't looking great. Now, you don't really want to visually check a fuse. You can't visually confirm that a fuse is fine, but you can visually confirm that a fuse is bad. I see the element in there, but it don't look that great. Alright, so let's test it with a multimeter. It could just be the fuse is bad. Alright, so I'm trying to do this with one hand. Yeah, that fuse is actually bad. It doesn't look like it popped to me. To me, it looks like it's just an old fuse that's fatigued. So, but no matter what I do, it is not connected. So the way you check a fuse, you just check it like that. You're checking from one end to the other, and there should be a line through there connecting both sides, and you should get something like that. So 0.2 ohms, less than 1 ohm. Sometimes if you have a really low amperage fuse, like it's a 1/16 of an amp or something like that, it will tell you that it's 2 ohms or something a little above 1 ohm. Just because the wire in there is so thin, because it's using so little amperage to blow it, that it gives you problems sending the juice through the the cords, and there's a little more resistance. But this one certainly should measure like 0.2 or something like that. So I'm going to pop a new fuse in, and then we're going to turn it on with the playfield up and just make sure that it doesn't blow up the fuse again. Alright, so I've replaced it. The one that was in there was a fast blow, and it's supposed to be a slow blow. So it could just be that it had the wrong type of fuse. A fast blow, just like the name implies, will burn out with any little spike of power, just a little bit blowout. A slow blow, they also call time delay, you have to have kind of a prolonged rise in the power level. So it's a half amp fuse. So if the draw of the power through it goes above half an amp for just a second, just a split second, it'll blow a fast blow. But a slow blow or a time delay, you can sit there and watch it, and it'll take about a full second for it to blow, maybe even 2 seconds. So why do you need that? Well, it's how they've designed the circuits, but it could be that whenever this first pulls in, it does pull more than half an amp for just a second, right? And so if you've got a slow blow, it won't blow, but if you have a fast blow, as soon as it does that, it'll trip it. So it could just be that they had the wrong one. So what we're going to do is we're going to trip some of these. So I tripped number 2 and number 4, and then we'll put it all back down, and we'll see if it works now and if that fixed that particular problem. Okay, so once again, I put it up on like ball 3. I turned the score reels to 1s and everything, and you saw we had number 2 and number 4 tripped. So let's see what happens. Okay, so all of that reset as it should. The score is reset, but we're not on ball number 1, and that's because it didn't kick the ball out. I think it did that before, so. So when the ball kicks from here to here is what puts it on ball number 1. And none of that is working right. So we got to figure that out. Why didn't the ball kick out? Everything reset, but the ball did not kick out, and the flippers are not working because we looked at that before. It's got to be on ball number 1 for all of that to work. So let's figure out why didn't the ball kick out. So here's the ball return. It works when the O relay pulls in, which is the out hole relay. They call it the ball return relay on Gottlieb. And only when the score motor is turning. So I'm going to guess that the out hole relay is not coming on, because as you see here, a switch on the out hole relay should keep the score motor turning. So if the out hole relay was on, and there was some other reason that the ball wasn't kicking out, it should just keep turning and turning and turning and turning and turning, because it would have the score motor turned on because of the switch on the out hole relay. So let's see what turns on the out hole relay. So this is the area that they've already been messing with. So the out hole relay has this long string of switches that it runs through. There's a switch on the E relay that has to be closed, the advanced bonus relay it says. The ball has to be sitting on the ball return switch. Motor 1C has to not be open. Motor 2B has to not be open. The AX relay has to not be tripped. And then the 6th position ball count unit has to not be open. Right? So if you're at the 6th position on the ball count unit, we're not. We're at the 0 position. So as long as that's not tripped, as long as that's not open, as long as that's not open, if the ball is sitting on the trough, and as long as that's not tripped, it should turn on the O relay. Once it does that, it should hold itself on a switch on itself until motor 2B turns it off, which may have happened. Maybe it was on. But our problem is it didn't kick the ball out like it's supposed to, which it should have with a switch. All right? So I think what we'll do next is I'm going to take the apron off and look at the actual armature that kicks the ball. When we played it on the last video, it would kick the ball and it would kind of slowly move and it wouldn't get all the way out to the lane. Sometimes that's because there is a there is a mechanical problem with the actual plunger. So maybe we'll look at that first, and if after that we'll look at the O relay and just make sure that I've got the switch that kicks the ball out isn't misadjusted or too far open, because it could be that it did just try to kick the ball out, but it didn't, the switch didn't touch or something. So let's take the apron off first and look at that. So I'm taking the apron off so we can clean under here, and here is the design on these wedge heads. Let me see if I can pull the thing in without getting electroshocked. Basically, the plunger pulls in and will kick the ball down. Right. That's all moving just fine. So I'm going to clean this up and put it back, and then we're going to look at the O relay, which is the actual switch that makes that happen. All right, so here is the O relay, and if you look, whenever you press it, it is starting the score motor, like it should, but it's not locking itself on. Watch. As soon as I let go of it, it goes back. So I think that may be the circuit that is the problem. That should hold itself in long enough for that to turn and for it to kick the ball out. Because as soon as it starts turning, it's going to open up one of those switches that is involved with it being able to start that motor, if that makes any sense. Or the ball being able to start the O relay. So, yeah, I think it's the hold circuit on the O relay. So it might be that switch that was on the score motor that we were looking at. All right, so I have the ball return relay, the O relay just popped out. And when you hit it, it does start the score motor, and it does hold itself in. And it's even kicking the ball return. It's even kicking the ball out. So I don't. You hear that noise up there? So it's working fine now. I don't know. What was the problem? What seems to be a problem? Remember how on the previous video we were showing that one of these little rivets, one of the little contacts isn't making good contact. We were showing on the first video out of the 4. I wonder if it has something to do with that. But we'll keep our eye on that. But for whatever reason, it didn't want to kick the ball out. The O relay seems fine though. All right, we'll try it again, see if I'm going crazy. Yeah, I'm going crazy. It just is not pulling in. Something's definitely off. All right, I got to work through the train of all those switches and see if I can figure out which one isn't right. Okay, so this ball return relay is not pulling in. So if I push it in manually, it pulls in and turns and does its thing. But that's because I'm pushing it in, right? Now if you look, but it doesn't do it on its own. So what's different when I push it in and it locks itself on? Well, it's using this switch to lock itself on. So it's bypassing this switch and this switch, right? So if I push the thing in, it pulls in and stays in while it turns the score motor using this switch. So that means this switch must work, that switch must work, that switch must work, that switch must work, blah, 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 right? On and on. The tilt relay is pulled in, is not tripped, whatever. Okay, so the problem has to be here or here, right? So what I've done is, this is a kind of tough one. I have rigged up the out-hole switch closed. Okay, now, again, we're not on ball 1 because it hasn't kicked the ball out yet, and it has to hit that switch in the trough on the way out. So, theoretically, if I turn the score motor, it should get to the point where it kicks the ball out, right? So watch what happens. Now, there are 3 home positions on this score motor. One here, and one here. So as it turns, it will get to the next one and stop, and the next one and stop, and the next one and stop. And if you listen, you'll hear it kick the ball out. So watch what happens. You see how it skipped that one and then it landed on that one and you heard it go click and kick the ball out? Okay, now hear how it kept kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking? That's because every time it gets to the home position, since that ball is sitting on the switch, it should still kick the ball out, right? And it can't, so it's trying it over and over again, but it keeps stopping. Right? So we've got some kind of problem with one of these switches here. I've seen this before where as this turns around, this thing isn't perfectly centered. So like this position and this position close the switch the way it's supposed to, but then when it gets to the third position, it doesn't work right. You know, so it depends on, there's something going on with that. That turned 1 revolution and didn't kick anything out. It's because one of the switches involved doesn't get touched right whenever it's on this ramp. But when you do the next one, all right, so believe it or not, folks, those of you long-term viewers, that is the damn contact that I was talking about in the first video. If you look, that contact is not pressed in there very well and can move. So I noticed that in the first video, and that's the switch that we're having problems with. That is 1C. Which is this switch right here. So the contact is loose on that. And I called it in the first video. And if the O relay pulls in, it will hold itself on while everything else happens. But if the ball lands on the switch, depending on how that contact is deciding to press into that blade, the ball on the switch will not turn on the O relay. Crazy. All right. So I'm going to put a little bit of solder on the side of that so that it can't spin around anymore and it's making good physical connection, and we'll see if that fixes our problem. All right, let's see if that's fixed this up. It does seem like it has. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Now we're getting that problem. We had that before. Well, it's kicking out every time. Sometimes it doesn't come all the way out. We'll keep our eye on that. Maybe that'll work its way in or something. But I think that did fix the problem with kicking the ball out, and I think that we fixed our problem with the 2 and the 4 resetting. Now I'm at 0 points and it's ball in play 5. Still got something going on. It kicked the ball out and we went to game over, but it shouldn't have kicked the ball out. So I got to figure out why it's doing that. Let me do that again just to see if it does it every time. But at the end of the game, you shouldn't have the ball kick out. It could be, though, because we didn't score anything. Let's retry it, and we'll try a little scoring, and then we'll just see how that goes as we play along. Okay, ball in play 1, and that time again it struggled to kick it all the way out. All right, now when we played it before, it seemed like when you scored the 4th one, it didn't score right or something. It just didn't sound right. So let's see what happens. It looks like it should turn that light off and then give us 500 points if we do 3. And it did. Okay, so let's try 4 now. Should be the same. Okay, so it scored, but it didn't turn the light out. So let's try it again. And something's going bzzz underneath. Okay, let's try 2. Let's try 1. 1's also not doing it. But it did that time. So I wonder if it's sometimes if you do something like that with your finger, it doesn't work right. Yeah, 4 is definitely not working right. And 1 didn't work right the first time, but did the second time. So we got something going on with that. It's scoring the points, but it's not dropping the 4th relay. So let's see if we can figure out how that's supposed to happen. All right, so we looked at this on a previous video. It's almost certainly got to be something mechanical, because the way that thing works is when you roll over the switch, either the one at the bottom or the top, it sends power to the 4B coil, which should drop that thing, and then it's in series with this Q relay. The Q relay is what scores the 500 points. So the Q relay must be pulling in because we're getting the 500 points every time. right? The only thing that's not happening is mechanically this relay isn't falling for some reason. This one didn't once and then did after that. This one did immediately and this one did immediately. So there must be some kind of physical limitation, some reason that won't fall. It could be something stuck or whatever. It can't even be that the coils burn up because the power has to pass through the coil to turn this relay on. So there's got to be some kind of, it could be a magnetic thing or something's just been out of shape a little bit or something, but that just physically, that plate physically isn't falling for some reason. So I need to look at that one and then also that one and see if there's some physical reason that it would do that. Now, interestingly enough, on each one of these, the only thing that it does is open up a switch that turns the light off. So you don't really even need it to fall, but without it falling, I guess the other thing that it does is it turns on this middle one, where 5B, the rollover sequence completed relay. So without it falling, it won't do that either. But we tripped this manually earlier, and it tripped just fine. So why is it not tripping when electricity runs through it? I see the spring there. That looks fine. So basically, when this energizes, it should pull this in. Yeah, and that's easy to pull in. I don't see anything wrong with it. These are the ones that I wonder if the wire is broke or something. No, it can't be the wiring either because, again, that series relay pulls in. So power is running through this line to the Q relay. That is weird. I wonder if it doesn't seem to matter what order you do it in. Let's see if the other one seems noticeably easier. It does not. And you can see how it drops that middle one is there's this plate that's held up by all four of them. And once you get to where there's nothing holding it up anymore, it drops that middle one as well. These are the ones that are just annoying as crap because you don't know really what the issue is. I guess it's possible that the coil is partially burned up. That one drops really easy. That one drops really easy. Yeah, they seem like it's the same type of resistance. I mean, I'm unsure on that one. Let me measure the resistance of that coil and just see if it's different than the other ones. If it's got more resistance, maybe it would still turn on the 500-point relay, but it wouldn't be enough to drop the other relay. I mean, to drop the plate or something. All right, so I have it in the middle of the game. Let's see how it all works. Okay, so that's number 2 I just dropped by just barely touching it. Let's do number 1. Let's do number 2 again. Okay, number 1 did it after about the 3rd time. Number 3. Number 3 didn't do it. Okay, so when I hit that, you're getting this here. You hear the noise, right? So now we're going to do number 4. Okay, so I think I know what the problem might be. Okay, so there's 2 switches on it. One of them is normally closed and one of them is normally open. The normally open one, when it pulls in, it turns on the 500-point relay. Okay, the one that's normally closed, it's kind of strange. Basically, it opens up so that the E and the 500-point relay can't turn on the score motor. And whatever, it's just, that doesn't really matter. But, once again, we are at the relay that they had rigged up. Remember, they had that second relay attached to it, just laying in the cabinet, if you watch the earlier videos. So they had this wired in parallel, which is going to add the resistance of this coil to the resistance of that coil, which must have something to do with fixing this problem that we're having. So I think the coil must have some kind of problem. So let's look on the schematics and see if we can figure out what the value of the Q coil is supposed to be, and then maybe we can compare it to another one and see if it's starting to burn up. You'll notice that the wrapper is off of it. So it could be that that coil is about half burn up, and for whatever reason it can kind of pull in, but it's not strong enough to allow enough current to go through to make this drop as well, or something like that. I don't know why one or two of them work all right and the other ones don't. I don't know, but it could just be a freak thing, because the last couple times you notice I couldn't get number 3 to drop either, although it dropped immediately before. So it's probably that coil's screwed up. So Q is an A9746. I have no idea though what the resistance of that is supposed to be, but I'll bet it's off. Something's messed up on it, and now it won't allow that circuit to work properly. And somebody kind of knew what they were doing and hacked that extra coil into it, lowering the resistance, or I guess that would lower the resistance, and making it work. So interesting. Let me see if I can figure out what that is and if I've got a replacement one. All right, so I have Googled that part, and I found this post on Pinside by Palladium. His measured 1.3 ohms. I found this one by Ye Old Pin Player, who reminds us that at flippers.com they say that it's 1.8 ohms, which sounds about right. And then if you go to Marco Specialties, who sells replacements, they say it's 1.5 ohms. So in any way, it's 1.3, 1.5, 1.8, something like that. The one that's in the game measures 13 ohms. And then the one that they had added in parallel also measures 13 ohms. So that would have brought the ohms down to maybe 7 ohms, something like that. Possibly that might have been how that worked. But basically they need this I guess it doesn't work right unless you've got something that's more like 1.5 ohms, because if you think about it, it's going to add resistance if it's higher, and maybe that adds enough that the little relays can't drop on that bank since they run through it in series. So I think what happened is that probably the coil that was in there burned up and they replaced it with the wrong one and it didn't work, so they added another one on top of it to try to get the resistance down. How they ever figured that out, I have no clue, but what needs to happen is we put the right one in there. I'm going to look and see what the value of the ones that fall is supposed to be, and maybe that'll help us understand it too. All right, so Marco is saying that the A1119, which is the 4 that are the sequence coils there, are 2.1 ohms. So basically, that one's 2.1, the other one's supposed to be 1.5, and that's how they get it all to work. But somebody replaced it with one that's 13, and then scabbed another one on to make it maybe where it's 7, and it's a big mess. So I need to find one that's like 1.5 to put back in there. And if I don't have that exact one, I'll order it from Marco Specialties. Yep, that's the wrong coil, people. It's not supposed to, see that part right there? That's not supposed to be how that is. So we're going to swap it with the right one and then see if that fixes our problem. Spoiler alert, that's probably going to fix our problem. Knock on plywood. So I'm trying to replace it, and the screw that goes in this one is the wrong size. So I try another one, can't get it to work. And then I remember the guy's got this little bucket of stuff down here, and inside of it is the correct coil, burnt all to crap, and he thought to save the screw for me. Wow! So there we go. So that's what the original looked like. So we're going to put it back, not this one, but a replacement in, and we have the screw to do it with. So we successfully figured out why they hacked in the other coil. It's awesome. All right, folks, so I ordered the coil. I didn't have it. So it's been sitting here. I ordered the coil, put a brand new one in there. So let's try it again. Look at that. That's how it's supposed to be. And if you watch up here. It just works different when it's got the right stuff. So if you have a coil burn up, sometimes you can swap in the wrong one, but you pretty much, usually you need the right one. So we have fixed that. So while we have this back open, I'm going to take the opportunity to swap this thing here that we noticed a second ago. For the video, it was a second ago. For me, it was 4 days ago. But we're going to put a new one of these on. This one has broken into 4 pieces. And that'll get it where it shoots nice and smooth. Alright, so we got a new plunger on there. That's going to shoot good, but we're still testing. So, let's check our points again. 500. So the last one gives you 1,000. That's interesting. I guess that's how it is. Let me make sure that one doesn't give you 1,000 every time. Okay, cool. Seems to be working perfectly. All right, now we've got little minor things like these are kickers here. This gives you 10 points. Those work fine. Is there a switch up here? Nope, no switches up there. Okay, 500 or bonus when lit. That's that one that we replaced the dial on. Gave me 500. Another little stand-up switch here. Okay, another one here. They're working properly. These say 1,000 points when lit, which the exception that proves the rule is that would make that 100 points. Okay, it's not scoring a damn thing. Now let's see the left one. Nor it. They're not doing anything, actually. They're dead. Alright, so we have to mess with those. Pop bumpers are dead. Let's look at the bottom here. That says bonus. Let's see if that adds to the bonus. Oh no, it just scores the bonus. Okay. Yeah, it's scoring 2,000 points. This one as well. Okay, cool. And these are still doing the 500 like up at the top. Usually if you have a setup at the top and a setup at the bottom, they'll work fine. Okay, so we don't know if the special works. We don't know if adding to the bonus works or how you even do that. We don't know about the drop targets. Next thing we need to figure out though is why aren't the pop bumpers doing anything? So the reason the pop bumpers aren't working is because I forgot when I replaced the blade that I replaced, I forgot to solder the wire off the old blade onto the new blade. So when we do that, it should make both of them work. Let's see. Alright, so I soldered the wires back in how they're supposed to be. There we go. 100 points. Let's try the other one. And looking at the schematics, it looks like the way you turn on the 1,000 points is you score 10 points. So now it should give us 1,000. And that turned it off. So we'll try it again. Turn it back on. Yep, perfect. Okay, so let's check the drop targets. So it says target score 500 or bonus when lit. So it should be 500. The lit one should give you the bonus. $46.80, $51.80, $56.80. Now here's the bonus one. The bonus is 1,000. It says. Worked perfect. Okay, let's try the other side. Some of them are already dropped. $71.80, $76.80, and here's the bonus one. Perfect, and it reset them all. So I wonder how you move that. Maybe the 10 points again? Yep. So let's move it to another one just to make sure that that works properly. So the one that was lit. Oh, it's it. It hung. we got to make sure that drops better. If they hang not quite all the way down, it'll keep scoring. And I think that light's not working because that one's on. I'll bet it's supposed to be that one. Let's try moving it. Yeah, that light doesn't work. On that side, that light doesn't work. So we got to take those back off and look at those lights. So that one should be 1,000. Nope, the bonus is now up to 2,000, so it should be 2,000. Perfect. And over here, perfect. Okay, now there's also a rubber behind these that should score something, probably 10 points. Well, if I can get to it. 100 points, okay. Let's check the one. Check the one on this side. Yep. Okay, so I need to replace these light bulbs and make sure they all work, and I need to make sure all of those targets drop properly. Some of them, a couple of them are getting stuck and it double scores. And we need to figure out how to advance the bonus, and we need to figure out how to light up the special and to test and see if it works. And then we've about got everything. It looks like maybe there's a light bulb there that doesn't work too. We got to figure out what's going on with that. Maybe that lights up 500 or bonus when lit. Maybe those go around and then it lights that up. We'll have to figure that out too. But we're getting there. All right, so looking over the schematics, it seems to be a fairly complex game, even though it doesn't look like it is. So I was trying to figure out how do you advance the bonus. It looks like the way you do it is you get all of the drop targets down. Let's see if that's correct. Hung it again. Okay, that didn't do it, so let's do the other ones. If they hang, it'll keep scoring. You got to get that where it goes all the way down. Okay, it reset them, and it did advance it. Okay, it looked like another way that you could do it is get them down on one side. Hung again. If we get them all down on one side, I think that makes it where these will do it. Let's see. Nope. But those do work good. Okay, yeah, the bonus ones won't necessarily do it. And it looked like if you got all of them down, it would light these maybe. Oh no, if you, yeah, something like that. Let's see. Let's see if these ever light. It never lit. But we did get up to 3,000. Let's hit the one that's lit and see what it does. Nothing. Yeah, nothing we do will light that. It may be because it's set on 5-ball. It changes the rules slightly. And it looks like this lights when you get all the way to the top. Yeah, so we should be on 5,000, and that should be lit, or after 5,000 that lights, something like that. So let me mess with some light bulbs and keep playing with it. Okay, so the schematics, the design of this is very complex and brilliant, basically, but it looks like what's going on is I've got this switch here adjusted wrong to where one of them's touching. So there's 3 blades on this switch. I call it a smash switch. So the 3 blades should touch whenever the ball hits it, but it looks like 2 of them are already together. Watch. I think the front 2 are already touching. So that is our problem. So if I separate that, I think it will start acting right. The schematics are bananas. I'll go through it here in just a second, just a little bit, but we're about out of time here. But just a hell of a design. Okay, so it's very complex, but the left target and the right target are reset if the C relay pulls in or the D relay pulls in, because it's on 5 balls that are tied together. If it was on 3 ball, the left target would only reset when C was pulled in, and the right target would only reset when D was pulled in. So what pulls in C and D? Well, they're up here. And again, it's complex as hell, but the C relay is the left target bank sequence relay. The D relay is the right target bank sequence relay. So if you look at just the left one, if the left drop target sequence switch closes, that is the switch that closes when all 5 of the left drop targets are down. Power is connected from C through that switch to a point on this adjustment, the 3 and 5 ball adjustment. We're on 5 ball, which connects it to the right side through another pin on it. And then if the right drop targets are all down, this switch would be closed, which would connect power to the center target switch. That switch was shorted closed because I had it misadjusted. So that's why they were immediately popping back up. They weren't supposed to. They were supposed to just whenever you hit that switch, but I had it already joined together. So the way you light the center target is by having all of the right drop target switches down, and we're on 5 ball, and all of the left drop target switches down. That lights up the center target. But that wasn't working because we had that switch shorted where it automatically would reset the drop targets. So that's how we get that going. The 5000 bonus light, the problem with it was the bulb was just loose. So I fixed it. So I think we're working how it's supposed to work now. So the bonus is on 1000. It looks like if you get all of these, it will advance the bonus as well. Yep, that advanced it to 2000. And then if we drop one side of these, this lit one may advance it. No, it did not. Okay, so one side's down. Let's see if the side does anything different. It just scores it. Okay. All right, so that still isn't, I'm reading that wrong. And then if we get all 10 of them down, maybe they all have to. No, that should light it. Oh, the bulb was. That side was lit. Okay, so that lights it. Bonus when lit. So I should get 2,000 points instead of 500. Wow! And it reset them. Whoa! Look how cool! And it moved us up to 3,000. So sweet. All right, let me make sure that when you hit that, you're not supposed to advance the bonus too. So the only way to add to the bonus unit is with the E relay, and that's only if the G relay isn't pulled in. The G relay is the 500 point relay. So it's going to pull in anytime you hit something that is not supposed to grab the bonus. The E relay is what's basically scoring the bonus. So there must be another switch. So the 500 point relay is turning on if you don't have C or D dropped, which are the ones that score whenever you have all 5 drop targets down on either side. There must be something that opens on the 100 point relay if E is pulled in. Yep. So sure enough, this is the 100 point relay. When you hit the G relay, which is the 500 point relay, it turns on the 100 point relay, and it happens 5 times because this motor switch pulses 5 times. Right? So that's why you get 500 points. However, if the G relay is in, the 500 point relay, it won't do a damn thing if the E relay is in. The E relay is the one that is the advanced bonus relay. So if you hit something that's going to give you the bonus instead of the 500 points that you usually get, it turns on this relay and that relay. But you don't get the 500 points if this relay comes in. Now, why would they go through all that trouble? It's because they want to be able to do the thing down here. You see, it works backwards down here. To get the bonus unit to go up, it will do that when the E relay closes. but not if the G relay is coming on at the same time, which we just proved it is coming on at the same time. The only time that it won't do that is the G relay will not come on when either the C is on because all of the left drop targets are down, the D is on because all of the right drop targets are down, or 5B is on because all of the 4 A, B, C, D targets are on, have been dropped. So this is very complex, and it goes back on itself. It's just all of these little intricate things where it all kind of loops back and forth so that this controls this and this controls this, and by doing that they're able to make it play exactly how they want with the rule sets. Pretty brilliant design, one of the most impressive ones I've seen on a EM. But that's Gottlieb's wedge heads for you. And this is 1975, so it's deep in the game. They had figured it all out by then. All right, so still watching the drop targets to make sure they all drop every time. And the ball still isn't kicking all the way out sometimes. It always gets it, but sometimes it doesn't. So we're going to play it and see if we've still got any little hiccups. We are on ball 1. We're at the middle of that game that we've been screwing around with. Ball shoots better now. Pop bumpers work. So that's just not quite hitting right. So I still got to mess with that. Whoop. I didn't get a good swing at it. Yeah. Okay, so we're back to our problem with the rivet on the score motor. That one that I soldered. Maybe I didn't get it good enough, and since that has to do with that, maybe that's still the problem. I like the kickers up top, that's cool. Two with one stone. Whoa. Oh, come on, it kissed it. There we go. That's what we wanted. That's annoying, isn't it? Wow, what a shot. I gotta tell you, it's that's cool that you can make those shots from the bottom. And it's got an interesting rule set. Trying to get all the drops. Missed. Ooh, missed again. Oh, I got it though. One more. Missed it. I did get the bonus value way up though. Missed it again. So close. Oh, missed it again. Ah, they got me. That's ball 5. And it kicked it out at the end of the thing, which it should not have done. Okay, so that's our last fault. We can't get the ball to kick out every time. It kicked out at the end of the game, and at one time it landed and didn't sense it. So the ball returns when the O relay pulls in and the score motor turns to 4C. O pulls in when the advanced bonus isn't pulled in, which it isn't. The ball lands on the ball return switch, which it's doing. Motor 1C is not open, which it wouldn't be at home position. Motor 2B isn't open, which it wouldn't be at home position. AX isn't open. We'll have to look into that. And then the ball count unit, if it's at the 6th position, should open power to that where O cannot turn on when the ball lands in the ball return switch. The 6th position of the ball count unit is the position that turns on the game over light. So when you're on ball 5, you are only on position 5, which makes complete sense. So to get to the 6th position, well, look, there are 7 positions because 0 counts. Okay, could it be that that one switch is just misadjusted? No, it can't be. Because when you're on ball 5, this can't be open. Because if that was open, it would kill power to everything on the playfield. So it wouldn't. That must open when you get to the game over position of the ball count unit. So when you get to the 3rd position, if you're on a 3-ball game, power will connect through here, through the ball count unit, through there. The motor, as it turns, will connect there. The O relay will be on because the ball is landed in the ball return switch. Motor 1D, oh wait a minute, yeah, the O relay will be on here, and that will add the ball count unit and step it up to the 6th position, or on that, in that case, the 4th position. If you were on 5-ball, it's just connected here. When you get to the 5th position, that will be connected while you're playing the game. The score motor will be turning as things happen, but it isn't until the O relay comes on that it will add the ball count unit. The O relay comes on when the ball lands on the ball return switch, the motor is at home position, blah, 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 and that switch is closed. We know this is fine because the O relay is working often. But that switch that we had problems with was this one. That was the one with the loose rivets. I need to check it again. But usually to get the ball count unit to go up, it's when the ball kicks through the trough switch that we were looking at, right? But on the very last ball, it doesn't do that. It's basically shorted through here. So we need to check this. We need to check this switch, and that's it. So I think it won't kick the ball out consistently because it's pretty significantly unlevel. So let's see if we can get that a little better. All right, I think we've got it where it's reliably kicking out. Woo, it barely made it, but it made it. Ball in play 3. Ooh. Ball in play 4. Can we do one more? Ball in play 5. Now, the end of the ball thing that we were looking at. The end of the game thing. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, we got it, I think. I think we've got it. This switch right here on the O relay wasn't quite right. It wasn't touching very well. So, and you could tell which switch by yellow and black and orange. Oh, yellow and blue and orange. So that the two wires running to that switch, it looked like it was touching, but it wasn't touching good enough. So I cleaned it some more and adjusted it, and now it reliably adds the ball count unit for that last ball after you're on ball 5 and throws it into game over. So with that, I think we've got it fixed. There's some other little minor cosmetic stuff I've got to do, but this is one of those machines that we could do 10 videos on. And unfortunately, these long series like this where we get 4 or 5 games, the viewership goes down as it goes on. People just get tired of it. So we'll have to stop it there. But that's 4th video on it. We got a little bit more work to do on it, but it's playing pretty good and scoring properly, and just has a couple little kinks. So we'll keep playing it. And if you look, someone has written on here, ball return, advanced bonus, 500-point relay, ball return, and hold. And then they wrote, check motor number 1 switches. So whoever wrote this figured out the problem. They just didn't fix it. But they did. That was the problem. There was a switch on the number 1 on the motor on the number 1 switch stack. That was the entire problem. So whoever it was, Sherlock Holmes would be very proud. So get yourself a copy of the schematics on your game. You need them. And if you like these wedge heads, we do too. Make sure to check out this video of one we filmed a while back. We'll see you on the next video.